Welcome back to Sports Night, and that graphic, of course, can only mean one thing. It is time for Miss Sports Biz. I'm Bob Fasell. We welcome in Kristi Dosh. And Kristi, I want to start with the NFL. Washington Post is reporting that the Players Association is likely to file a collusion charge against the league. What's the dirt that the players have?
You know, I think they have a lot of dirt right now. There's a couple of things I find the most interesting. One of them actually happened before the season even began. Because of the uncapped year this year, you have an interesting situation with restricted versus unrestricted free agents. In the past, free agents became unrestricted free agents after 4 years. However, for this year, you had to have 6 years of service. And there was some speculation that maybe the market for these restricted free agents wasn't going to be that great this year. And it turns out that was true. There was only one offer sheet given to a restricted free agent this year and just a handful of trades. And the Players Association is taking a look at those deals and looking at the guys that weren't picked up and weren't given offers. And they're thinking that maybe there's something a little fishy there. But even more than that, there was a really interesting situation with the Redskins and the Rams that I think flew under the radar until recently. They made a trade that both teams that involved draft picks from this year. And it's really unusual to trade a guy that was just drafted. You've done the scouting on the guy, you know where he fits in, or you think you know where he fits in. So they made this trade with drafts that they had just gotten. And the Redskins actually let their guy that they traded for go the very next day. The Rams let their guy go shortly thereafter, and the concern is that they were trying to avoid a new rule that's in effect this year called the 85% rule. Under this rule, any team who lets go of a player that they drafted has to take 85% of that rookie's salary and spread it amongst the other rookies. And it's believed that they did this trade in order to circumvent that rule and not have to spread out that 85%.
All right, Kristi, I got to ask you about the comments made by Bengals coach Marvin Lewis last week, drawing a lot of heat in discussing the Bucs signing of Desmond Briscoe. Lewis said, quote, "When you overpay a guy on the practice squad, you create a problem for teams. I don't know that teams want to set that precedent, and they did with Dez. That's not a great precedent for teams to set as we try to keep the NFL and doing the things we're trying to do as a league. It's still a league of 32 teams, and things are put together a certain way." How are his comments fueling the players in that collusion claim?
I think you're going to hear this quote over and over again. This was a huge mistake by Marvin Lewis, big foot in the mouth kind of moment. The way I read it and what I heard the first time I heard it is, look, we teams stick together. You shouldn't be overpaying for a guy like this. If you don't know the situation, Des Briscoe was cut by the Bengals, but they had every intention of signing him to their practice squad. In the meantime, the Bucs came in and started talking to Briscoe, offered him a spot on their practice squad, but they offered to pay him what they would pay someone on the 53-man roster. So obviously he took the money and went to the Bucs. And this quote is a quote from Marvin Lewis in Tampa last week as they were preparing for the Bengals-Bucs game. And, you know, I think it looks like, hey, the Bucs stepped out of line. They shouldn't overpaid for this guy. It's going to hurt all of the teams. It's going to hurt the owners. And if there's a collusion claim, you're going to see this quote over and over.
I'm sure we will. I want to ask you about the 18-game schedule. The league wants it. Where do the Players Association stand, and can the two mesh?
I think the owners have made a formal proposal now, and the Players Association has said that they're going to make a counter proposal. What I'm gathering from that is this is going to happen. You're going to see the 18-game season. I think there's logistics to work out. It's going to happen. Now, what the players are looking for is obviously more money because they're playing 2 more regular season games. They're also going to look for better post-career health care, and that seems to be the real sticking point. Right now, players get post-career health care if they play in the league for 3 years. The average career of an NFL player is 3.5 years, so I think you have quite a few players who aren't reaching that benchmark. And players are saying they're having a tough time getting health insurance because they get so banged up while they're a player. Now you're asking them to play 2 more regular season games, which is obviously much harder on their body than a preseason game. So I think they're going to push for these post-career health benefits to get a little better, but I think you're going to see it. There's going to be 18 games.
Well, it sounds like a good move by the players to take that avenue. Another issue that's going to come up as we talk about new collective bargaining agreement is the revenue split between the players and the league. What do we got there?
Right now, NFL players get about 60% of the league revenues, which is the highest of any of the professional sports here in the U.S. The owners are supposedly looking for about an 18% cut. And as you can see on the screen right now, there were 7 teams this year whose total payroll fell below the salary cap minimum that we had last year. So I think you're already seeing the owners pull back. And this is an interesting situation where you might actually see players support the salary cap system because they're going to want to get that payroll floor back in.
Yeah, especially when you see those Buffalo Bills numbers. Hey, Kristi, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Miss Sports Biz. We have got to take a break, but stay right there. Sports Night rolls on.